Every massive objective begins with a physiological surge. You visualize a distant finish line, and the friction of the real world seems to vanish. This state is powered by your brain's reward system. It floods your neural pathways with dopamine, generating a rush of intense pleasure and anticipation that acts as the initial propellant for change. But this chemical propulsion is fragile. Dopamine levels are reactive. They spike in response to novel ideas or inspiring speeches, but they are designed to decay as soon as the novelty fades. While this surge is a powerful enough catalyst to push you out of your comfort zone, it is rarely enough to keep you moving once the terrain gets difficult. Eventually, the chemical high expires. You hit the first significant setback: a failed assessment, a rejected proposal, or a morning where the goal feels too heavy. This crash often triggers a prevention focus. Your psychology shifts from a desire to gain ground to a desperate need to avoid loss. You stop striving and start bracing for impact. The paralysis isn't caused by failure itself, but by internalized shame. As this research notes, we fear the judgment we place on ourselves. This triggers a cognitive retreat. You ruminate on negative outcomes, stalling your ambition to protect yourself. This is the critical filter of any long journey. It's the point where you either retreat to the safety of your old life or commit to a structural change in how you operate. To move past this paralysis, you must transition from a mood-based approach to a system-based one. You stop looking for external inspiration and start building an internal mechanism for consistency. This mechanism is rooted in the prefrontal cortex. Doing difficult tasks strengthens the neural pathways responsible for impulse control. Over time, these connections make the behavior automatic, building a physical resistance to emotional spikes that previously caused you to quit. This isn't just a matter of willpower. It's a literal biological hardening of the brain's architecture that allows you to work through emotional exhaustion. In actual practice, this process looks incredibly unglamorous. It's the grit of a late-night study session, or the cold air of a 5 a.m. morning when the world is completely silent. Surviving these stretches requires deliberate environmental design. Curating the distraction-free space and organizing tools reduces the mental energy needed to get started. You pace the effort with tactical tools, like the Pomodoro technique. By working in focused 25-minute blocks, followed by 5-minute recoveries, you manage your cognitive stamina to prevent a total collapse of focus. These systems become essential when juggling a day job or the demands of parenting. The progress you make here is slow, quiet, and often feels invisible. Mastering this grind proves you are no longer a passenger to your emotions. You've built a machine that functions regardless of how you feel. When setbacks inevitably happen during this phase, your response is no longer an emotional retreat. You adopt an adaptive coping strategy, stripping away shame and viewing the error as objective data. A rejected draft or failed experiment is simply a signal indicating where the system needs adjustment. Neutralizing the shame response removes the primary obstacle to forward motion. You keep moving because you've stopped making the failure about who you are. Eventually, the compound interest of these daily actions yields a level of mastery that feels effortless to an outside observer. High achievers don't wait for a burst of inspiration to do their work. They rely on the predictability of their routines to carry them through the months where inspiration is absent and the work is hard. This structured approach is how legendary modern creators manage to build vast cultural legacies. George Lucas spent years researching mythology and structure. He used these patterns to anchor his creativity, ensuring the production remained connected to a universal blueprint. The secret is understanding the sequence. A chemical spark provides the start, but structural engines provide the finish. Standing at the end of a long journey, the perspective changes. The heights you've reached don't look like a stroke of luck or sudden epiphany. They look like the predictable accumulation of thousands of hours and tens of thousands of small, disciplined choices made when you were at your most exhausted. Real progress happens when you stop chasing the high of a new dream and start building the habits that make your arrival inevitable.